So it's been about a year since I brought you the video on the Tipton Ultra Vise. I wanted to do a quick update so that way you can see, well, the problem that I had and the fix that I came up with. Let's get to it. Now, a year ago when I did the video, I talked about these towers and that you could put enough pressure on these towers to overcome the friction to keep them up. The problem that I had is that over time, these towers weren't staying up. So I came up with a fix for it. I'm not sure if it's going to last a long time, but we'll see. What really annoyed me about it is that, these towers did start to slide on their own. When I was recording a podcast for Memorial Day, I had my Winchester on here and you could see the Winchester actually dropped and I had this tower tightened up. So the problem you have is the pads on these locks here, they just have these little bubbles on them. And all you're dealing with is friction. There's no positive mechanical lock to them. So without having to completely re-engineer these towers, these towers would need to have some grooves in them, and then the pads would need to have grooves in them. And where I could see a problem with that would be like if you're leveling a scope, you wouldn't necessarily get it exactly level the way that you want it. If you had those positive locks, you needed some type of almost like crank to do this. So what I did is I took the pads out of the vise and I took a checkering file and I put a checker pattern on it. And instead of going the normal, 90 degrees this way, I did them almost like an X. And that would have given me enough bite to bite into these towers. But I'm still relying on friction, and I was afraid that these would wear off just like the little bumps that were on there before. So what I did is I took them out and I sprayed them with Plastidip. And that way the Plastidip would get in there, and I did, I believe, 3 coats of Plastidip to make sure it really got into the checkering pattern, because I didn't want that plastic on plastic. I kind of wanted like a rubber on plastic. That's why I went with the Plastidip. So I sprayed them in and then put those back into the vise. Now what you can see here is I do have these cranked in pretty tight. And I'm putting a lot of pressure on them and I'm not overcoming the friction. Now, the other thing I did do, other than the Plastidip, is I did take some 180 grit sandpaper and just roughed up the tower. That way, well, there's something a little extra to bite into. And as you can see, the tower will slide up and down. I will crank this up. And there it is. It's holding. Now, the reason why I say I don't know how long this is going to last, because we're still dealing with friction. And eventually that Plastidip will wear out. Maybe I'll have to spray it again. But like I said before, time will tell. Other than that, I still think it's a good product. It just, they needed a little more engineering into these towers. So let me hear in the comments down below what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you're staying safe out there, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.